Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to See More People. And today we've got a great treat. Over the last, say, 2 to 3 years, I've embarked on a digital growth pattern. And for those who know me well, that was not my area of expertise and still isn't. But I always think it's always best to surround yourself with people much cleverer and, let's say, left field than you. And I was actually had the delight of meeting Michael Griffith as an introduction from Steve Brosman, a very good friend of mine. And I think it's about two and a half years ago now. And Michael has helped us enormously in working with not just digitization, but also the I think it's an art of referral marketing. And Michael travels the world. And he is the referral guru. He goes all around the world to America, the UK, and has been helping businesses maximize their, let's say, their lead gen for many, many years. And I believe he is the expert and the leading expert in this area of expertise, because you can talk about it, but unless you actually get the tools on how to do things, it becomes really difficult. Michael has a lovely knack of showing things that are easy to do, but also easy to implement. So Michael, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure, Steve. Always great to be with you and get into play, as we say. Hey, getting to draw some things out and get into play. But okay, so I'm going to do what we do best and just go share screen. Bring up an iPad and let's draw and talk and get through some nice things. So I believe today we're all sort of about the referral side of things and bringing referrals into our business. And if I'm sort of looking at sort of three big things that I think really sort of help is around how most people's thinking on referrals actually kills referrals, because their thinking is around what we say, let's find a level 10 referral and that's the only thing I want, and therefore that's all I expect that I'm going to get. And unfortunately, the level 10 referral falls on your lap maybe 3 times a year if you're lucky. So if that's all you're trying to grow your business with, you can't, and it's impossible. And the numerous people that go, well, you can't build a business on referrals. Well, if all you want is a level 10 referral, they're spot on. You can't build a business on referrals. So let's look at the thinking around that, what we call the referral meter, and maybe how do we get back to we get in 10, 15, 20, level 6, level 7 referrals, rather than waiting for that level 10 to fall on our laps. I think the second big thing is around how do we create conversations? I was talking to our tribe this morning on a training and going, unless you're creating conversations, nothing good can happen. Like, it'd be nice for people to go to your website and phone you, for people to be able to send you an email, but they just don't. And they simply don't, not because they don't want to, but because they've got 1,000+ different things happening every single hour of their day that, unfortunately, you just ain't remembered unless you become a priority. So conversations is all about how do you become more of a priority in that person's world. And I think the last part is around how do you get good at asking? So referrals sort of go, you've got client referrals. I call that sort of the cherry on top. Most people don't like having to go to their clients and go, oh, you know how I've done a good job for you? Do you know other people who sort of need that same thing? They feel awkward around that. So instead of just relying on clients, how about we rely on our networks? How about we rely on referral sources? How about we rely, like, there's so many other people around us, but it's a matter of just getting good at asking. And I feel that people don't get good at asking because they see it as having to sell. It's not having to sell, it's having to ask. And there's a big difference between the two. So let's get into all three of those things. So the first thing I just want to start off with is this, that in any business, I don't care what it is a person does, there are 3 really clear, distinct sections within a person's business and their marketing. Now, I'm someone who goes, marketing and sales, they're not the same thing. Okay? Marketing is very different to what sales is. Marketing is about how do you attract. So that means how do you find people who have the same pain point that you solve and who are wanting a solution? Because unless you've got those people around you, who are you going to sell to? Nobody. And for most people, they try to do all this outreach, or they try to chase, hoping to be able to find that person who has the pain point that they solve. So after we attract, the next thing we've got to be able to do is educate. And educate is all about, how do we share our expertise? How do we make that person realize that we actually are a go-to solution? So there we talk about all the time, simply about, how do you turn someone from being a red prospect, hey, I've got the pain point, I might need a solution, to a yellow prospect, I've got the pain point and I want a solution, to a green prospect, hey, I've got the pain point, I want a solution, I think you're the answer. Can we see whether there's a fit or not? Well, unless you're doing that in the middle part, again, you're just hoping that green people are coming to you. It just doesn't happen. So then down the bottom, you need to be asking in your marketing, would someone like help? So then when the person says yes, that's when sales begins. Okay? So to me, sales has its own little thing down here, and what obviously Steve and the team are great at, well, that's down there. You can't create sales unless you attract someone who has the pain point that you solve, unless you educate them and make them realize that you are the go-to solution, unless you actually ask them, hey, would you like help? And then when those things happen and they go, yes, well, now sales occur. So if I was to look, why do most people's sales conversions absolutely pathetic, under 50, 60, 70%? It's because they've got to try to, sure, they probably don't have the skills that they need, but they've also got to try to convince, rather than simply at the top, letting their marketing do what needs to happen. So I think that's a good starting point, because when we talk about referrals, when we talk about partnerships, when we talk about using our networks, when we talk about any of that stuff, there's one thing that has to happen every single day. And it's simply, how am I bringing more people who have the pain point that I solve into my pool? And that's what we need to be focusing on. So to us, that's about, how do we bring them into our CRM? And that's where your pool exists. Okay? So I think that is a nice little starting point, because everything else we do and talk about marketing wise means absolutely nothing unless you can simply go, I've got activities that are going to attract someone who's got the pain point I solve and bring them into my pool. I've got ways to be able to educate and make sure that those people start to realize, hey, I've got a solution to their problem. And I've got ways to be able to ask, so that we get people who are ready to be able to raise their hand and say, yes, I would like help, please. And then you pop on over to CVJ and Impact, and then you improve your sales presentation and the way that you show how you can help that person. Okay? So with that in mind, let's get around this first thing. This first thing being, it's our thinking that really kills referrals. So getting referrals, in my mindset, isn't about going, great, I need someone to pass me a referral, which means I get a new client. Because that is what we call a level 10 referral. So if I just simply start here, we've got a referral meter. Okay? The level 10 referral is where someone goes, oh, I was just speaking to, I'll just use someone on the call. I was just speaking to Jamie. Jamie said that he'd really like to be able to do X, Y, Z. I talked about you and what you had to be able to do. Jamie's really interested. I told him how you help and the price, and he says, yeah, that's the person I want to work with. So I'm going to connect you to Jamie so he can get started. Level 10 referral. The deal has pretty much already been done by the other person. Now, if we expect to be able to grow our business purely on level 10 referrals, guess what? It ain't going to happen. Because how many level 10 referrals do you think you're going to get in any given year? Now, there's lots of reasons for that. But probably the biggest reason is that, unfortunately, your referral sources, your referral partners, your networks, they've also running their own business. They've also got their own life. They've also got their own dramas. They've also got being pulled in every different direction. So therefore, their job is not there simply to make sure that your business survives. So we've got to appreciate that and go, okay. But that doesn't mean that if you don't have a great relationship, or you haven't, like if you've trained that person really well, they really understand your business, maybe they've used you themselves, that if that opportunity arose to sell you, they definitely would. But that just opportunity doesn't arise as often as what we hope it would. Well, now down the other end, we've got like what I would call level 0 referral. It's not even a referral. It's where someone says, oh, I just met this great person, Jamie. Here's his contact details. Like, great. And now what am I supposed to do? Like when you phone Jamie, who's this? What do you do? Who are you? It's like, yeah, good. That was a good conversation. You've just got no positioning. And really, you may as well just find Jamie from the phone book and phoned him up, because it's pretty much exactly the same result. Right? So if they're your two extremes, I then have a few little landmarks along the way. Well, not much higher is a level 2, which is pretty much when someone says, I've got a great connection for you. Well, that's nice, but I don't need more connections. I don't need more friends. Okay? If they don't have the pain point, if they're not looking for a solution, it's not a referral. Do you need connections and introductions in your life? Of course you do. Could they be useful in opening doors for you? 100% they could be. But it's not a referral, so let's not call it that. It's simply a connection. And you definitely need connections to be able to do more things. So it's not a bad thing, but on the referral meter, it's not a referral, so it can't be really high. Well, let's move ourselves up and let's go, hey, level 5. And I won't even accept these. Like it's a non-thing. I'm going to get only 6, 7, 8 upwards. But a level 5 would be where someone came to me, and I've just spoken to a good friend of mine, Darren, who said that he's having trouble in sort of bringing in referrals into his business. So here's his name and number, give him a call. Well, again, I know exactly what's going to happen, because Darren might have said that to this particular person. Darren might want help, but 2 minutes later, what else has happened? Something else has happened in his world, and I am no longer relevant. So therefore, when I phone Darren, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, let alone 24 hours or a few days later, Darren's already moved on from that. So therefore, it's like me again coming from a position of chasing rather than me coming from a position of attracting. So let's get up to level 7. And I think this is a great starting point. So level 7 would be where, say, Darren's a referral source or part of my network, and we have a conversation, and Darren goes, hey, I love that new 112 guide, how to get 100 new clients in 12 months without spending a cent on paid ads. How about I share that out to my network? And then anyone who wants that will come back and fill in their details, and that's like a warm lead to you. Well, that's pretty good. You could do that every day of the week with people, because the only people who are coming back into your pool are people who have now said, yes, I've got that pain point. Yes, I'm looking for a solution around that, and I think you might be able to help me. Now, do you want those people in your pipeline? Of course you do. Okay? So to me, that's a great starting point at a level 7. See, there's this thinking, real horrible myth out there, that a referral is only when someone recommends you to someone else directly. No, wrong. That's a type of referral, yes. But if that's all we focus on, then you're going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs for the majority of the day, because they're not around often enough. Yet, in my language, in my world, hey, a referral can be whenever someone does something that brings a warm, qualified person into your pipeline. Like if we just tweak that thinking, then all of a sudden, you're going to get a lot more people coming into your CRM, into your pool, because you could do a lot more things with your referral sources. So then it continues, and let's just say, hey, level 8 referral would be, hey, I've got somebody who really needs what you do. How about I do an introduction via email? And now the level 8 is all about having a transfer of credibility. And that's why down in the level 5 and below, like if there's no transfer of credibility where you can go on the back of that person's credibility, that they already have a relationship with that third party where they already know them, like them, trust them, you need that transfer over to you. And then you are no longer in a spot of chase, but you're in a spot of position and attract. So if someone came to me, I'll just take an example from yesterday, and one of our clients came and said, oh, I was just speaking to so-and-so, and they're looking to be able to get more referrals into our business. I went, perfect. So if we could do this, if you could just introduce us via email, so just do an email with all of us on it, and just simply do a little blurb about what it is they do a little blurb about what it is we do, and then I'll pick it up from there. And the only reason I want them to do that is because I know it then transfers their credibility with that person onto me. And that's really important, because then when I start the conversation with that person, I come from a, well, hold on, you came to me, I'm not chasing you. So therefore my language is very different from the very beginning. So the big thing around our thinking is going, how do I get more down here? How do I wipe that off altogether and just simply just go, hey, I'm not accepting any of those. And rather than just simply sitting and going, well, I'm going to wait for that level 10 where someone actually really does pass me a client, well, you're going to be sitting for a long time. So mindset around what is a referral would really help, because majority of people traditionally will go, you sell to the same people I sell to. We don't compete with one another. We could be referral sources, referral partners. The other person goes, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. And then we sit and we make small talk and we hope that something falls on one another's laps. But it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because we both expect level 10 referrals. Well, how about when we come across somebody and we go, hey, you sell to the same people I sell to. We don't compete with one another. How about we just do small little actions straight away to help one another? And Amanda goes, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So then you just simply go, so Amanda, what's one thing I might be able to do right now to be able to share you into my network? And Amanda will go X, Y, Z. Go, perfect. And would you mind if you shared our latest 112 guide out to your people? And Amanda will either go yes or no. Doesn't matter. But that's what you need to be getting great at doing if this is going to result in making sure you get new people into your pool, into your CRM every single day. And that's what we should be aiming for. That's what your marketing should be doing. So don't get confused between marketing and sales. Your sales should be bringing new clients. Your marketing should be filling your CRM every single day with prospects. And that's a big difference between the two. Okay, so that is the first part around our thinking and getting our thinking right. The second part we wanted to touch on there was around the importance of conversations. So I've just spoken about there something that we could do with Amanda as an example. And I don't know even Amanda's business. I was just pretending she works with businesses and away we go. So Conversations is how you get more people helping you for you to be able to help more people. So the thinking I always have is, how can I help someone else before asking for help? Pretty easy motto to live by. Because if you simply are constantly going, so, hey, what can I do to help you this week? What can I promote for you this week? How might I be able to get more people into your pipeline this week? Like, really, they're the only 3 questions that you've got to continue to remember. Now, if you open up with those 3 questions, one of the 3, to people within your network, guarantee you probably about 90%, you'll have a few morons in there that won't get it, but 90% of people are going to do what? Say exactly the same thing back to you. So there's a few things that you need when getting good at creating conversations. The first thing you need is, I suppose, to understand where you want people to go to. So like for us, we want people to come and get our particular guide. We want people to come to the $1 Million Referral Network free Facebook group, because there's 3 questions in there and one of them says, do you want a copy of our book? So therefore, we'll be collecting data at the same time. But you need to know where, when someone says, what can I do to help you? You need to know what your answer is going to be to that. I can't think of anything more frustrating than if I was to go, hey, so what can I do to help you? Well, I don't really have anything right now. It's like, why shoot yourself in the foot? You've just been given a golden opportunity to fill your pipeline, and you've just gone, nah, don't worry, I don't want that. Getting people into my CRM is not important enough for me, but I hope I might have a business one day still. Like, come on. So that's the first thing we've got to know. We've got to know, where are we going to? When someone says, how can I help you? Where do we want them to go to? And to me, this has to be about, how are you going to collect data and get people into your pool? So if you go, oh, I'd love you to share my latest Facebook video. Yeah, great. That makes you feel warm and fuzzy. But guess what? You don't own a single person. So that's why your thinking has to be around data into your pool. Okay, so the second thing you've got to think of is you've got to start to go, okay, so what sorts of people in my network do I actually want to create conversations with? So if you just simply went, what sorts of people sell to the same people I sell to, and we don't compete with one another? Who do they happen to be? So in our world, we just focus in on how to get 100 new clients in 12 months without spending a cent on paid ads. So someone who does paid ads, they could be a particular referral source, someone who does web, someone who does graphics, someone who does video, someone who does HR, someone who does IT, someone who does business coaching. Like, think of who else do your clients use already. So then once you identify, you start now coming into your network. I actually did this as an activity this morning with our Partnership Club guys. I don't care what platform, go onto your LinkedIn, go onto your Instagram, go onto your Facebook, don't care. Click on who your connections, your friends, your followers are, and have a look through that list and find 10 people to send a message to. That is how easy this is. Here's a change in thinking. This will be a fairly big change in thinking. I'd probably have it written somewhere and just let it consume you for a long time to come. Social media is the world's largest free database. That's how you have to use it. You're allowed 30,000 people on your LinkedIn profile. You're allowed 5,000 people on your Facebook profile. You're allowed 35,000 people that you could sell to, partner with, open doors for one another, out of how many billion people who are on social platforms. Sometimes a friend lasts for 2 hours in our world, and then they're gone. If we get a friend and the first message they send tells me they're a moron, good, finished, next. Because it is the world's largest free database. Use it as such. Now, that might sound rather cutthroat and rather, because sure, there's a lot of other things that take place in social. But I need you to have that thinking. You don't have to buy email lists. You don't have to spend thousands scraping. It's all there in front of you. But you need to know, who do you actually want in your networks? Okay, so let's assume you've got good people in your networks. You've identified, you've gone through, you've found people. So now, the next thing you simply have to do is just start asking. Simple little message. Hey, name. Well, I'll just go here. Hey, Joseph. Been ages since we've spoken. I'd probably use a little emoji face of me slapping my forehead as if it was my fault. Just thinking, is there anything I can do to help you? How easy is that? Copy, paste, change the person's name, send 10 a day. And before you know it, you'll be in so many conversations. So I don't reckon there's anything there that's overly difficult to be able to do. But once you get into conversations, then you need to start, and this is the part we just don't do very well, is start creating action plans in terms of how we're going to help each other right now. And this is where you need to know, once you ask the question, what can I do to help you? And they tell you, then you need to be able to go, great. And would you mind being able to do this for me? So you need to be getting good at being able to create simple, hey, so what can we do this week to help each other and share networks and maybe bring some more people into our pipeline for one another? And that needs to be your language. And if someone doesn't want to do that, then that's fine. Next, you're one of 1 billion. Notice how I've got no emotion attached to any of this. It is just simply a process. And it's a process that ensures that you're going to get new business so easily whenever you want to turn the tap on or off. Okay. So the last part was getting good at asking. Well, most of the time we don't ask simply because now we feel like we're selling. But if you go through this type of conversation, do you feel like you're selling? No. Well, the first thing you've done is ask them how you could help them. They might not even ask you back. So you're definitely not selling. But you've got an anchor because of what people have done to you, where they've either connected with you or friend you, and then they send you this long-winded essay trying to sell to you, and that's how you assume that the world has to be. No, it doesn't. You just have to do it very differently. And if you're coming from always the intention when you ask of how can I help you because you actually want to help, you're never going to feel like you're selling when you then go, all right, would you mind promoting XYZ for us? It will actually be really easy because internally you know where you're coming from. And that's how you get really good at being able to ask. Okay. I knew I couldn't stick to half an hour, Stevie J.
It's all good, mate. It's absolutely, everyone's writing their stuff down and gold up your sleeve. Guys, if you've got any questions for Michael, this is a great opportunity to maybe ask him before he wraps everything up because he always ties everything up in a bow. So have you got a question or two? You can either type them in the chat box or come off mute.
Michael, I'll jump in.
Yep.
So from an action perspective, just looking through everything you've shared there. So really, from a tools perspective, it looks like we need, for the email introductions, maybe the person that's introducing us having a really brief way of explaining what we do and doing an introduction. And probably secondly, you said, something to share, a lead magnet, sometimes it's called, which brings people into the pipeline. So really, from what I see, they're the only tools we need. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. And you've got those already, knowing your business.
Yeah.
So really, it's then just about, hey, let's go create more conversations. Yeah.
So Michael, from what you're saying, what I've just written 3 pages of notes as per normal. I can't help myself. So you have to, the guys got to build something that's a guide, and also probably open up a Facebook group, and I think the golden nugget that you threw out there is have the questions before they come in so they can get the data. So in other words, would you like my guide? Give us your email address and those sorts of things. So there's a couple of things that they need to create before they start asking. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. And I think that comes back to the thinking. It annoys the daylights out of me. And in the nicest possible way, and sorry if you're a marketing person and you're listening to this, but channels are like 1/100th of the piece of the puzzle. Like people go, oh, you got to run Facebook ads, or you got to do SEO, or you've got to do, no. Like, it's a channel. It gives you the 1/100th of the piece of the puzzle. What you actually have to be thinking before you worry about any of that is just go in, well, like when we come all the way back to, what are the things that are going to allow me to attract, allow me to educate, allow me to ask? That's what you actually have to work out in your head. And then if you go, okay, to attract, I want to use this particular channel, great, that's fine. But just going, hey, here's money at whatever channel, radio, it ain't going to help you if you haven't worked out each of those 3 segments and what you're actually going to do from a strategy point of view in each of those 3 sections, in each of those 3 segments. And I cringe at so many marketing agencies who go, well, let's just throw money at this. Well, that's fine. And then what? Like, how are we bringing them into our pipeline? And then when they're in our pipeline, how are we doing the next thing? And then how are we doing the next thing? Or do you think that they're just going to magically say, oh, here's my credit card, please just charge it with as much as you want for as often as you want? Right? Of course they're not. Right? So the overall strategy and structure to this is really 97% of the whole puzzle. Channel is just so minute, and yet people think it's the be all and end all. It's not. It needs to be flipped.
So when you go into the asking component, which I think you're masterful at doing this, and it's something that everyone needs to really get. It sounds easy, but it needs to be taught. Michael is actually in his partnership club has these wonderful tools inside his let's say golden chest of good words. Now, one of the things you do very well, Michael, is using reciprocity. Saying, and not instead of saying, oh, can you do this for me? Straight away, you say, how can I help you? And all of a sudden, the reciprocity will take over. And when they say, yeah, you could do this, and say, terrific. And now, why? And could you do this for me? And you've got, get people into my Facebook group. You've got some great stuff in there. Or how about we send this out to your people, which is a fantastic a guide, and that means you'll get the data. So using reciprocity, it seems to be like a big rock here. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to your thinking, and something which I'm just passionate about, and I listen to and I study every single day that I can, is understanding human behavior. Like understanding our 2 million year old brain was created to protect us from saber-toothed tigers and the wild animals. Well, we don't have to be worried about those these days, but the brain's job hasn't changed. It's to protect us from making a mistake. It's to protect us from doing something wrong. It's to protect us from looking silly. So when you start to actually understand, like every human, I know people don't like that people think they're individuals. Sorry. You're actually wired exactly the same way. And when you understand human behavior to the extent I understand human behavior, I don't care who you are, how old you are, what gender you are wired. You can't even help this exactly the same way. And therefore, that's where the art really comes into around your language and just knowing how people are. Yeah. It's a real quite unfair influence, and I'm sorry, but it is what it is, because that's how we are as humans.
It is what it is. Absolutely. So, guys and girls, got any more questions for Michael? Because he will be wrapping it up shortly. So, it's a great opportunity to ask the great man. He'll hybrid it for sure. So, if you've got a question or two, Jamie.
Hey, Michael. Thank you so much. I just want to get a little bit about some nitty gritty tips on the Facebook group, which now I wasn't too sure whether that was prospects only or prospects and clients, and what level of interaction and engagement you or your clients would have in that Facebook group.
Yeah, good. So there are two. So we have a Facebook group purely which is meant for prospects. Mm-hmm. Clients will be in there, but it's run as a prospect group. And then we have purely client group, which is purely for clients. So within the prospect group, there's a few things that we want to try to achieve. And in fact, a big thing and a bit of a change that we've gone to, and already in just 2 days, we've seen a huge difference, is your prospect group. You've got to see it like it's a big party and you're the host of the party. You're not the person at the front that the party has to listen to the whole time. And I think we make a mistake around that, going, well, it's my group, you're in here, you want to hear from me, and therefore you're the only one that talks. So within the prospect group, a big thing that we want is we want engagement, and we want them to feel that it is a peer group rather than a Michael group. So that's a big thing in there. Now, within our prospect group, the way we bring people into our prospect group is that we run once a week, a weekly exclusive training just for that group there. So something like this, 30 odd minutes, where you've got to be part of the group to actually get that exclusive training. We won't share that anywhere else except for within our group. The whole purpose is engagement, conversation, get them being able to share, because simply the more they're doing that, the more then our group pops up on their news feed for their networks to find our group, and we're getting more and more free exposure. Okay? So that prospect group is a standalone, and it works very differently to the client group, which is more so tactic strategies that I want our guys to be using this particular week. We put up replays of our weekly implementation session or our monthly planning session or etc. We still want engagement. It's more accountability in our client group. It's about more so keeping them accountable and keeping them doing the things which will get them the result, where the prospect group is more fun. Fun's not the right word. It's more making them realize that we are the go-to for the problem that they have.
So in that once a week exclusive training in your prospect group, I suppose the art is developing the fine line between keeping them engaged and delivering some level of value, but not giving away everything that they'd have to pay for in your client group.
Yeah, okay, good. So here's my thinking on that. Clients do not become clients because you've got more stuff to give them. Clients become clients because they want to be held accountable and they want to get the result faster than what they can get themselves. If you went into our Facebook group, you followed us on YouTube, you listened, you subscribed to us on our podcast, you could have everything you needed to do what we teach. Everything's there. What you don't have is a size 13 shoe kicking your backside, making sure that you get it done within 12 months, versus it would probably take you 3, 4, 5 years for the pennies to finally come together and drop. So that's what I constantly talk about too, that you could go and get everything. It's the speed of implementation. That's why clients become clients.
That's a fantastic insight. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, no, pleasure.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, my goodness, mate. Platinum nuggets, not golden nuggets. My goodness, Michael.
Fantastic.
Now, Amanda and also Nigel and Joey, have you got a question? I know, Joey, you're doing a lot of stuff in your prospecting at the moment. You got anything that pops to mind?
Yeah, thanks for loving this chat, Michael. Thank you so much. For me, I'm helping the team build a Facebook group. It's been very hard to convince management that they won't accept it. I don't believe Facebook is the way, and it's been really difficult. So my first question is, like, how do we attract people in the first place when it's zero? Like, if they've never set it up and they're wanting someone to set it up. So how do we get people into the Facebook group? And then the second one is based on that. Our target market are quite private people. They're investors, high net worth individuals. And what about if they don't like being exposed or seeing each other in this group?
Yeah. So there's one thing that every single person needs. It's a core value: connection. So that is what, like, a high net worth investor. Do you not think they go to lunch with other high net investors? Do you not think they? Of course they do. They'd love to. So if it's positioned as a group of peers where they can learn from one another, where they can learn from you guys, where they could maybe not fall down a trap, where they could actually do deals with one another, I'd probably want to be a part of that. Right? So therefore, you've got to probably make it a little bit more like a secret VIP closed group that not any single person can come to, but that's what your group is. So you start off with your current clients because they're already people for you. So your current clients, you send them an email about, hey, we've just created this group of peers where we can share things with one another and we can create deals and we can just help one another out, because a community is always going to be much better than just simply a single mind. So great. There, now you might get your first 10, 15, 20, 50 odd people. And then you can, in the group, say, hey, do you know one other person that you would recommend this group to come along? And now your group's just doubled. Yep. So there's two simple things you could do.
Nice. Beautiful. All right, mate.
Jamie.
Just following from Joseph, of course, and Michael, please correct me, but the group does not have to be actually on Facebook. There's plenty of other platforms.
Yep.
We've got a LMS platform that has a Facebook group look-alike, but within that platform, and so it doesn't have to be on Facebook at all.
No, very true. It's about creating a community.
Thanks, Jay.
Perfect. Rightio.
Terrific. So there's no other questions, mate. I'll let you put a bow on it, mate, so we can wrap it up.
Yeah, lovely. So if you just simply go from what we were going and talking about, thinking about your referral meter. Do you only want level 10s? Do you only want level 7s or 8s? How do you get rid of 0s, 1s, 5s, and you just don't accept it anymore? Like, so much around your thinking. And then I think the big thing from today was all around conversations. What are you doing? Even if it's like 5 minutes a day, you could get 20 new conversations started in 5 minutes a day. Easy. When we think we have roughly 300 conversations a day between Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. No, I'm lucky that I'm not managing that, and you get to a point where someone can, but that's how important that is to me. Like, that's why we're constantly on other people's podcasts. We're constantly on other people's webinars. We're constantly in other people's publications. We're constantly speaking at other people's conferences. We're constantly filling our CRM, because nothing good can happen unless you create conversations. So just simply go, how do I spend 5 minutes a day creating conversations, and do that for the next 30 days. And then you might go, well, this is really working really nicely. I might need to do 10. Or it's working so well, I actually just need to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay? But there should be never a reason that someone cannot be promoting their guide, promoting their next training, promoting anything at all, when we've got the ability with today's technology and today's platforms to touch base with anybody we want with a simple message.
Fantastic, Michael. Well, look, to wrap it up, guys, I'd like to ask Michael, how can we get a bit more of Michael Griffith? Is there some way the guys can reach out to you, get one of your guides? I know that you've got some sensational guides that they can send out. How can the guys connect with you, and where can they find a bit more of the Referral Guru?
Yeah, great. So probably just simply going, I'll put in the chat box there, just michaelgriffiths.com.au, because from there you can pretty much find anything, whether you want to hang out on a social platform, whether you want to get podcasts that come out every single week, whether you want to jump into the $1 Million Referral Facebook group, everything sits from that site. So just go to michaelgriffiths.com.au and you can stalk wherever you want to stalk.
Look, I strongly recommend getting into that Facebook group. Michael's on there all the time, and as he openly said, he's continually just give all the time. He's got a significant amount of resources in there, and go to the website, and he's got some wonderful podcasts as well, and always golden nuggets. So thanks so much, Michael.
So what's the name of the podcast?
Get More Referrals Today. So iTunes, Spotify, Podbean. Get More Referrals Today, wherever you happen to listen, you will find it.
Beauty. Well, again, thanks a lot, my friend. All your time and how busy you are. So,
absolute pleasure. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Absolute pleasure, Steve. Thank you.
All right, guys. So what are you going to do? Hope you had your trusty pen out and wrote some stuff down. Wrote down some of the things on what you're going to ask. What actual things you're going to do after listening to the Referral Guru. Now, as I said, he makes it sound easy, but he's given you a plan of action and also what to say. He's actually gave you, just thinking about you and just thinking, how can I help you? How can we do that? So all of a sudden you're creating those conversations. So have an action plan. Would love to see in our Facebook group what your action plan is and what you're putting into play. So thanks for joining us today. Join us next week, 10 o'clock for another marketing expert and for See More People. All right, gang. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.